How do you access business credit for Sprinter vans? Or really, how do you obtain and use business credit to be able to get and support a fleet of vehicles? So that's exactly what we're talking about during today's training. We're talking about business credit, why you want it. We're talking about some of the initial steps to build business credit. We're talking about vendor credit, what it is, how to get it. And then we're going to talk about how to put all this together to actually be able to use it for a fleet of vehicles. We're going to talk about how to get financing today for vehicles without a personal guarantee, without a personal credit check. We're going to talk about the best fleet cards out there to be able to fuel vehicles, repair vehicles, maintain vehicles. We're going to talk about building an initial business credit profile, building an initial business credit score, and then using this credit profile and score for basically your business to fund itself. And along the way here, I'm going to give you some of my best tips and tactics to get the fastest results when building your business credit. We got a lot to cover today, so let's get started. So first of all, your business doesn't have to start with good business credit already built, right? It's the same. Much the same, you probably didn't start with any vehicles, right? Or at least not with business vehicles that you want to keep. So, if you're looking at building a business, especially in the transportation space, especially when you're dealing with fleet credit, when you're going to have one vehicle or more vehicles as part of your business, when you're going to need credit cards to be able to support those vehicles, to fuel those vehicles, you're going to deal with repair and maintenance and constant financing. Well, the good thing is you don't have to start right from the beginning with established business credit. It's a step-by-step process that I'm going to map out a lot of what you need today. So building business credit does mean you're going to get vendor accounts, and there's a proven way to do this that we're going to talk about today. But again, it's not just vendors. Vendors are basically those that issue credit and to buy their own products and services. So a vendor could be Walmart, a vendor could be Staples, a vendor could be Uline on the starter vendor side to help you initially get started. Now, we talk about a lot of vendors because they sell products and services you're probably going to use to grow your business, especially if you're in the transportation space. But again, we're not just a means to an end. Sometimes people look at the steps of building business credit and think they're just going to use vendors or creditors in one certain space or tier to move to the next. That's not what it's about. The people that get usually $500,000, $1 million more in business credit are getting credit with vendors they can really be able to use and to grow and scale their business. Now, you've got to do this the right way. You can't just start with these high-limit Amex, Visa, MasterCard accounts. And I see this a lot where people will come in and find these streams for the first time and say, hey, I tried to build my business credit and I failed. Or I went to my bank and tried to get a credit card without my social and they wouldn't let me. Well, there's a series of steps you've got to follow here. You've got to start with fundability, which we won't talk a lot about today, but then you move on to these starter vendors. And then that actually helps give you trade lines, and that establishes a credit profile, and that establishes a credit score. And then that helps you move to the next tier and continue to get higher and higher limit accounts. And this is kind of what we're going to discuss today is the getting of these trade lines, the establishing of the report, the establishing of the score, and this process that gets you to the Visa, MasterCard bank credit, but also auto financing as well without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. Dexter, thanks for coming in. And Dexter says probably need at least a 90 paydex score. That's how we're starting. Keep in mind that a 90 paydex score literally means you pay your bills on time. So I will tell you how to get that today, but nothing of what we're talking about today, you have to have that to start. I'm going to teach you actually how to get there. Andrea, good morning. Brian, Triad of Success LLC from Colorado Springs. I love Colorado Springs. Thanks for saying hi. Brian says, I've been following for some time now. Love all the information and learning. I will be becoming a partner later today. It's awesome, man. Congratulations. Looking forward to working with you. So if you don't mind, tell me where you're from. I always like giving you a shout out. I always like to see where people are coming in from around the world. So say hi. Let me know what city, state, or even country that you're coming in from. So let's talk a little bit about the process. Really, this is a matter of getting credit, paying it on time. Okay, we started here with somebody saying, hey, look, you've got to have a 90 paydex score. You don't have to have a 90 paydex score to start this process, but to get a 90 paydex score, you're paying your bills on time. Paydex is a credit score offered by Dun & Bradstreet. And the nice thing about the business world is the credit scores just reflect how you pay your bills. So all we've got to do here is get credit that reports. And when we pay those accounts on time, then the key there is that will help give us an excellent score. And the score is used to get us more and more credit. Now, the other key is we've got to get vendors that actually report to the business credit reporting agencies to give us this good score. 97% of trade vendors don't report the credit they give us to a business credit reporting agency. So we've got to get credit that does report in order to get those good scores. Now, what happens is when a creditor reports an account to the business credit reporting agencies, this is known as a trade line, okay? And trade lines are basically when a creditor will give you initial credit, then that credit reports on your credit reports, in this case, in your business credit reports. Now, typically when you're getting started, these vendors give you terms like net 30, net 45, net 55, net 15. And what that means is it means if you have a net 30 account, you got 30 days to pay off whatever balance you acquire in full in its entirety. So when we look at revolving accounts, we look at, I put $1,000 on my credit card and I owe $25 a month until I pay it back, right? And I can pay more than 25, but I can't pay less than that minimum payment in order to make a payment that actually counts and doesn't report me late. Now, if we look at vendor credit, if I put $1,000 on a net 30 account, I've got 30 days to pay back that $1,000 in its entirety. So this is very different in the business space than the consumer space. We oftentimes start building consumer credit with secure credit cards, which is kind of ridiculous. We go to a credit card issuer and we say, I'm going to give you my $500, and then you're going to give me a credit card that lets me access that $500. And when I use it, I pay you interest. The only real purpose of it is to help you build personal credit. In the business space, we don't really see secure credit cards. There's very few, if any, reliable sources out there that offer them. Instead, we have these net accounts, which work really well because you sometimes have 15, 30, 55, 60, even 90 days. Yesterday's training, we talked about accounts that went 90 days, net 90, where you've got to pay them back. So you're right away getting credit you can use. You're right away getting credit that doesn't have to be paid back sometimes for a month, 2 months, or 3 months. So not only can you get this as a brand new business, but it also really gives you the money you need to be able to fund the business initially and helps you step closer to getting these revolving accounts. Now, again, net 30 means it's got to be paid in full within 30 days. Net 60 means it's got to be paid within 60 days, unlike revolving accounts like we just discussed there, okay? So again, don't forget to chime in. Tell me where you're from. Always like saying hello. And Derek, thanks for coming in from Detroit. Jacksonville is in the house. Brilliant Davis, you're tuning back in here with Unbound Business Solutions. Ed, what's up, man? We're both in Tampa. We probably come across each other all the time and didn't even know that we were running into each other. And hello, Robert. Thanks for coming in from New Jersey, from Alice Stairs Towing. I love it. And Issa Vibe says, Jersey in the house. Sonny of Man. Hello. Many try to duplicate but fall short. They don't understand the other financial terms per factors that are simple but complicated at the same time. Okay, I like that, all that stuff you just said. That says, hello, Patrice. Thanks for coming in and saying hello. Okay, so to start your business the right way, you've got to get credit with these vendors that report to the business credit reporting agencies. And once you've done that, then you can get credit with them. You could pay it back. They report it to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian. Now, there's actually 2 ways to do this. And one of the other ways to do it is through a program called Credit Line Hybrid. So either way, we got to look at it like this. You have no credit profile. It's blank. It's empty. And what we've got to do is get credit with vendors or with credit issuers that then report that credit to the business credit reporting agencies. When they report that credit, it gives us trade lines, a credit profile, credit scores we'll talk about. Now, there's 2 basic ways to do this. One is Credit Line Hybrid. Great way to go, because it's $10,000 plus real credit cards, bank credit, that you can use to fund your business. You can get $150,000 in credit lines. You get 0% rates for up to 18 months. It's no doc. There's no tax returns. There's no bank statements. So you can get it as a startup. You can get it as a brand new business. You can get it as a high-risk business. You can get it as a for-profit or a nonprofit business. You don't need collateral. You don't need cash flow to get Credit Line Hybrid. But the catch of Credit Line Hybrid is that you've got to have good personal credit to get it. So if you have 680, 700 kind of credit, it's probably the way to start, because you can get 150,000 in credit lines that report to the reporting agencies, many of them. You build business credit and you get like 150,000 in credit lines or 50,000 in credit lines, however much you qualify for. But you need good credit or a guarantor that has one. And you have to be willing to provide a personal guarantee on those bank credit cards in order to get them. So sometimes you might not have good personal credit. You might not have a family member, a friend that does and is willing to let you use their credit as a guarantor. That's when vendors come in. Vendors the other way to build initial business credit. And this is where we get credit with these starter vendors who will give us credit when we have none. Granger, Uline. In yesterday's training, we talked about 7 of the hottest ones as we end 2021 and get into 2022 that you should be focusing on. So these credit vendors don't require personal guarantees. They don't require personal credit checks. So no matter how bad our personal credit may be, we can still get these vendors. So you have 2 paths, credit line hybrid and this path. But no matter which path you choose, the process, the steps of what we're doing here is exactly the same. And it really comes down to these 3 things. We get credit with vendors or with credit line hybrid bank credit sources that report to the business credit reporting agencies. When these accounts show on our credit reports, we call these trade lines. When we have trade lines, that establishes a credit profile for our business. Okay. Now we've got a credit profile that's linked to our business EIN. Again, I taught you 2 ways to be able to do that. Now that we have a credit profile linked to our EIN, we also have a credit score, and the credit score just reflects how our business is paying its bills. Now, for vendor credit, initial starter vendors, they're not even going to ask for your social security number. They don't even care about it. They're not even going to ask for it. But if the credit is issued from a bank, they will for identification purposes only, which we'll talk about. So this is the process. We got to get credit with sources who report. That gives us trade lines. That gives us a credit profile. How we pay reflects our credit score. And then from there, we're able to compound and get more and more credit. Now, with an EIN and not your social on the app, then what happens is future credit issuers, we get to pull your EIN credit instead of your personal credit. If the credit profile is solid, then what happens is they give us approvals and we get more and more credit. Now, that's how it works. It's no different than consumer credit if you think about it. We started our consumer credit with a cosigner or secure credit cards. Then we got small limit credit cards, $500 to $1,000 limits. Then our limits continued to increase as we continued to show we were responsible enough to handle those limits. We start to get car loans. Now we qualify for a mortgage, and it continues, right? As we accumulate more money, our income increases, our credit gets better. We get higher limit credit cards. We qualify for higher car loan amounts. We qualify for higher mortgage amounts, and it just grows and grows and grows, right? There's no end. There's no stop. Business credit's the same way. We're just doing it for an EIN. So we're starting with credit line hybrid or these starter vendors. Starter vendors give us $500 to $2,000 limits in a lot of cases initially. We go in, we get approved for this credit, we pay the bill, it reports to the reporting agencies as trade lines. Now a credit profile is established. Now a credit score is established. Now we go to get more credit and they say, hey, I want to look at your social. And we say, no, sorry, well, we don't need that. My business can stand on its own. It doesn't need my personal credit. Pull that instead. Now credit issuers look at our credit profile and score for our business, and they say, you're right, your business can stand on its own. Now we're going to give you we're going to give you approvals for this credit. And the process continues. As we get more credit, we move through these tiers and qualify for even more credit, and then computer leases and fleet credit and bank credit cards and auto financing, all without a personal guarantee and credit check. Now, starter vendors won't ask for your social. Credit that's issued by a bank will, because it's required to. The federal government, as of 2018, requires that you have to provide your social just for identification purposes. It's an anti-money laundering requirement for the government. So if I go to get a Staples credit card, Staples is going to say, hey, I need your social. But we need to make sure that Staples is either telling us, hey, I'm only getting your social to verify your identity, or if Staples doesn't tell us that, then we want to call Staples to apply or fax the application to Staples so we can clearly tell them, I'm going to give you my social to identify me, but you cannot use it for credit purposes. You cannot use it for guarantee purposes. You do not have my permission or my authority to be able to pull my personal credit. Now, when we do that, then what we're doing is we're forcing everybody to make the decision based on business credit quality. And as long as our business credit meets the criteria to get that tier of credit, then we get approved. We get more credit on our report. We can move to the next tier, the next tier, the next tier. And here, I'll show you exactly what this looks like as we go through this. I'll actually show you how our clients do this and what I mean by this tier system. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up right now. Shout out from Austin. What's up, Detroit? North Carolina is in the house. Hello from Florida, Oakland. Thanks for coming in. Birmingham, Alabama. Frankie says, why do your people in business not want to help us out like you try to do? Why? I don't know. Why do people in your business, I think industry, not try to help us out like you do? I don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there that are more focused on money than actually the end goal of helping people, but I can't really speak to their intentions, right? Only they I think can. Okay, so when we look at this is what I mean is that it's kind of tiered out. So we look at these tiers. So for example, I don't need any accounts on my business credit report to get tier 1, but to get to a tier 2 accounts, I've got to be able to have at least 3 accounts on my business credit reports. And in order to get to tier 3, well, then I've got to have 6 accounts on my business credit reports. So what this means is it means with a few accounts on my business credit reports, I can start to get credit like Maverick or Luke Oil or Meyer or Quill or United Rentals, right? But then as I get more accounts on my business credit report, as I get like 6 accounts, then I can start to move through these tiers. So now with 6 accounts, I can start to come in and I can start to get Gimplers and Sinclair Gas and Speedway and Sunoco, et cetera. And then when I get 9 accounts, I can move on to the next tier, right? So this is what I mean by this is the more credit you get, the more credit actually becomes available for you. But the key here is to be able to go through these tiers step by step and build the credit. And as we get more credit, we qualify for more credit. Now, vendor credit cards are a very important part of the process. And vendors get thrown around the term vendors in our industry wildly. Everybody uses it differently. But if you really look at the definition of vendors, vendors are basically those that will give us credit like to buy their products and services. So a vendor could be Uline or Granger. That's a starter vendor that has like no real requirements to give us initial credit. They'll give us initial credit even as a new business, even with no business credit established. Then we've got vendors like Staples, Office Depot, Home Depot, Lowe's, Sam's Club, Costco, Best Buy, Apple, and they're all vendors too. They issue credit to buy their products and services, and they'll give us credit as we start to, as you saw with the tier system. As we have more accounts on our business credit reports, we start to get those guys start to approve us as well. And then they report the credit to the business credit reporting agencies, and then our limits, as long as we're using the credit, the limits get higher. And then the more accounts on the credit reports, the more accounts we start to qualify for. And eventually what happens here is we're getting credit cards that report to the business reporting agencies, not the consumer. And as our business credit becomes more and more established, we're using it and it alone without personal credit to qualify for more and more tiers of credit, right? So every step and every credit provider is designed to help your business, okay? It's designed to kind of help you move up and help you get what you need to grow the business. So you can't lose sight of that. People get caught in this process and they're like, I want a Visa card, so I'm going to go get Uline and Gimpler or Granger and buy $50 worth of stuff only. And then I'm going to go get Staples. I'm going to buy $100 worth of stuff. And my goal in 90 days is to get a Visa card with a $20,000 limit. It doesn't work that way. If you're only getting credit and spending $50 or $100, nobody's going to give you $10,000 and $20,000 limits because you're not spending money. But if you come in and you really get credit you need to grow the business, then what happens is you're spending money on this credit because you're really using it to grow the business. Credit issuers see that you are, and your limits get really high really quick. So you start with $500 to $2,000 limits with Granger and Uline, and then you're using that. And then you go get Staples, and Staples or Amazon give you $5,000, $10,000. Yesterday, I showed multiple approvals for $10,000 to $30,000 from Amazon. You don't get a $10,000 Amazon approval if all you've spent up until that point is $100. So you got to get credit you're using. And then you get an Amazon account with $10,000 and you put $3,000 on it, you pay it off and you're using it that way. Then you go get Best Buy, and Best Buy sees that you're using Amazon and spending thousands on there. And then they give you a $10,000 approval. And these approvals get very high, very quick, as long as these credit issuers see that you're actually really using the credit to be able to grow the business. Now, a lot of benefits here, right? Now we're building an independent credit profile for our business EIN that's not linked to our personal social. Now this credit profile for the business can start to qualify us for funding where we don't really need the personal credit, where it doesn't really matter. Now what's nice about that is that our credit scores and profile on the personal side won't affect our ability to get approved. The other nice side is that we're not putting inquiries on our personal credit reports when we don't need to. These are a really big deal. Recently, we've started to see PayPal loans, some of the easiest loans to get. We're starting to see denials pour in from people that are saying, hey, why is PayPal turning us down? Well, PayPal's turning you down because they see that you've got commercial inquiries on your consumer credit report. They see that you're applying for commercial credit cards, commercial loans, and all that's appearing on your consumer credit reports. And there's too many of those inquiries, so they're denying people business loans. So I can give you example after example after example, but in the business world, you really have to minimize consumer credit inquiries. You want to save those for when you really need them. Okay, so in my world, I really am adamant about not putting inquiries on my credit report, okay, unless I need to. Then when I need to, I save my, it's kind of crazy, but I save them up and I do it all in one shot. So I literally just got a new place and 2 new cars in a 30-day time period because I want all the inquiries to hit now. The damage to my personal credit is going to be there for 6 to 12 months. I'm not doing anything in my personal credit for 6 to 12 months. Then I'm going to be okay. So I really manage my inquiries very smartly because there's such a big deal in the business world. You want to save them for credit lines. You want to save them for loans for when you really need them. You don't want to put them out there if you don't. Another benefit here is that we're getting credit without a personal guarantee. We're not liable for this credit that we're getting for the business. So if we ever default for any reason, they can't come after our personal assets. They can't come take our personal money. So let me give you a real example of worst case scenario. Me personally, this is a true story of what happened to me. Before I discovered this, and the reason I teach this is to help you prevent the fate that happened to me. So what happened to me was that I personally guaranteed credit cards for the business because I didn't know any better. It was a mortgage company. The mortgage crisis wiped me out. Okay. I was in jumbo mortgages. Jumbo mortgages overnight didn't exist. Like my entire industry just went away. So I tried to hold on and do different things. I couldn't. And what happened was I started to default on credit cards for the business. Now what happened was they came in and got a judgment against me. I couldn't even defend myself because I didn't have the money to fight through the courts. And then they literally took all the money out of my personal bank accounts. They just took everything that was there to pay off the business credit cards. True story. Like all of a sudden, I go in my credit bank account and it goes from thousands to negative thousands because they had checks written against that money, right? It's not just money there. I got checks written. Now my checks bounce. Now my electric gets shut off. Like it's a nightmare situation. That's what happens when you personally guarantee debts for your business. We don't know if a mortgage crisis is going to occur. We don't know if a virus is going to come out of nowhere and shut things down. So there's so many unpredictable things that we can't control, no matter how phenomenal of entrepreneurs we become, that we've got to protect ourselves. And with business credit, this is what happens. It's why we don't want to guarantee anything in our business if we don't have to, because anything can come out of left field and then we're personally liable. And then they come after our personal assets, our personal home, our personal vehicles, our personal credit, our personal bank accounts. And that's not what we want to have happen. We've got to separate these liabilities. We've got to separate and create layers of protection between our business, our assets, what we're doing for the business, and us. Okay. Also, as I mentioned, too many inquiries can help you or can hurt you on the personal side. But what we're also doing is we're building a very strong asset. Okay. Having an established business credit profile and score just makes your business worth more money because your business has the ability to tap in and get money when it needs it. So you're actually creating and building a bigger asset for you as well. Okay. Samuel Jean says, hey, great day and great teaching. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Edward, hello from Orlando. Love this guy's great content. I appreciate that, buddy. Thanks for coming in. And Stephanie, hello. Hit the like button, everyone. I appreciate that. If you don't mind, Stephanie's giving a shout out for me. If you're getting value from this, if you're looking at this and going, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that. This is helping me. Just hit the like button. Hit the love button. I can see it in real time, and I really appreciate you doing so. Okay. And again, it just makes it easier for you to get money in the future. So a lot of benefits here of vendor credit accounts. Again, they help us build the initial credit profile and score. We've got to have 3 accounts to move on to the next step. I showed you in our tier system, you got to have 3 to really even begin to move on to tier 2. Okay. It takes 30 to 90 days for these accounts to report. Some report quarterly, some report monthly. So a tip that helps you do this faster is get more than 3 accounts. When I say this, some people go, okay, I want to get 3 accounts. I'm going to get Granger, I'm going to get Uline, I'm going to get whatever, Supply Works. And they stop there. The problem is if you only get 3 and one of those 3 reports every quarter, now you got to wait 3 months for all 3 of those accounts to report. We don't want that to happen. So if we only need 3 accounts to move to the next tier, then let's get 5 accounts here. Let's get 6 accounts. Let's get more than we need. It gives us the best chance of these accounts reporting in a month instead of 3 months. I can't tell you how many times I'm asked, how long does it take to build business credit? My answer is is the only time that's taken, or that how time determines how long it takes, is how long it takes accounts to report, which is 30 days. So if I get, my accounts, my starter vendors right now, and I get 5 or 6 of those, in 30 days they report, and then I have 3 accounts, then I can move to the next tier, and then I get more than I need, and the next month I can move to the next tier. So it's very possible. And our clients are getting to the end of the business credit building process in 4 to 6 months. They're getting to the final tier of credit there. People that do it on their own typically take 2.5 to 3 years. How do our clients do it in 4 months, and somebody doing it on their own, even with our training, take 3 years? Well, it's because of this. What happens is they go in, they get 3 accounts. Oh man, one reports every quarter. Now I just lost 3 months worth of time, right? Then they don't know the tiers, so they apply for credit and then they get denied. And there's just all these delays, and you don't want those delays. So get more credit than you need in each tier. It's going to help you expedite your business credit building process. As I talked about, you can't, their social security number, you have to provide if the credit's issued by a bank to verify your identity, but fax or call in the application if they don't clearly state that it's only to be used for identity purposes, to let them know that I'm not giving the authority for a credit check. Now, you can't put anything else in place of your social. You can't just put 1111 or get a CPN number or some kind of crazy solution. You just leave the social blank. Like if you can leave the social blank and apply, but again, if it's issued by a bank, then they're going to need it for identification purposes. In the past, before July of 2018, we used to just leave the social blank. Now you can't do that because they need your social to verify your identity. But again, you got to tell them you're not authorizing a guarantee or credit check, or they will do a credit check and base your approval based on that, which is not what we really want to have happen. Okay. Now, again, you're not going to get a Visa, MasterCard right away. We've got to get credit to get credit. Okay. We've got to get credit, use credit to be able to get more credit. All these credit issuers have requirements, and a lot of the requirements is that you have a certain amount on your business credit reports in order to get it. So we're going to talk about a few of these fleet cards today. I touched upon some of these as the 7 vendors too, because these are some that can help you get fleet credit, and they're also ones that can help you build initial business credit. So 76 is a Phillips 66 company, 1,800 locations worldwide. They report to D&B and Experian. But like any of these fleet cards, you don't want to apply for too many of these within a week or 2-week time period, because since they're underwritten by the same source, it can be considered to be fraud. Okay, they need an entity in good standing. You need an EIN with them, a company address matching everywhere, a DUNS number, a business license, a bank reference, and they're going to want your phone number to be listed with 411. I call all of this stuff fundability. So if you go to youtube.com/credit suite, or just go to YouTube and type in fundability, you'll see fundability training from me, and I'll teach you how to build your fundability where you meet all the requirements. If you follow my fundability training and you do that, you're going to meet all these credit issuers' initial requirements. Every requirement I say here to qualify is what we discussed in fundability, so you know you can get approved. Now, your SSN is needed for identification purposes only. If you get fundability right, they might not ask for a guarantee or deposit. If you have no credit on your business credit reports and you don't have fundability right, they're going to probably ask for a personal guarantee and deposit. So you have a choice here. You can wait and apply for this later in the process when you have some established business credit, or when you know your fundability is in line, and get around guarantees, deposits. Or if you do this too early in the process, or your fundability is not in line, then there's a good chance they may ask for a personal guarantee or credit check. WEX Fleet, they report to Experian and D&B. Great rewards program, features that they have as part of their cards. They offer universal fleet cards, heavy truck cards, universally accepted business fleet cards as well. And again, as you apply for them, you got to make sure that you don't already have other of these accounts you've applied for in a short period of time, or you'll get turned down and they'll cancel the actual other cards. So we've got to leave at least really a couple weeks before we apply for multiple fleet cards. And again, they can give you upwards of net 15, net 22 accounts, and they're going to ask for that guarantee or deposit if you don't meet fundability, and sometimes if you don't have some accounts on your business credit reports initially. Same requirements as what we just talked about with Phillips. Okay, entity in good standing, EIN, business address that matches everywhere online. You need a DUNS number here. I don't think I mentioned that with the 76 card. Business license, if applicable, if you need one in your state or industry. Business bank account, because they're going to ask for a bank reference. Your phone number needs to be listed with 411. These are the underwriting requirements to get approved for WEX Fleet. Now, Marathon's another one of these great vendor accounts to get started with. They provide transportation fuels, asphalt, specialty products through the U.S. They also report to D&B and Experian. And again, my disclaimer of not getting too many of these in a short period of time. Very simple requirements to the other two that we talked about: entity in good standing, EIN number, business address matching everywhere, a DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet, a business license, a business bank account for a bank reference, and a phone number with some 401. Let me go through each one of these. Let me break this down a little bit. You got to have an entity in good standing. You have to have an entity, an LLC, a corporation, whatever your entity type is in your state. It needs to be active. It can't have been something you didn't file annual reports from and is now expired. Okay, it's got to be an active listing. You got to have the EIN number. It is surprising, but you can't have a business without an EIN. You could be a sole proprietor and not have an EIN. Okay, my advice is you want to be a corporation. You want to be an LLC. You don't really want to be a sole prop. A sole prop is not seen as a credible business by lenders, credit issuers, even SBA. And you need to have an EIN. You're not going to be taken seriously by lenders or credit issuers if you don't have one. Your address needs to match everywhere. What I mean by that is your bank statement, your utility statements, your website, your social media pages, yellow page listings, everywhere I can find your business, especially with the Secretary of State and IRS. It all needs to be congruent. This is a big mistake people make. And this is one of the biggest reasons I see applications get turned down. It's such a basic thing people overlook it. Here's what happens. You need to set up a business. You go get your entity set up first. Then you set up your address for the business. Then you set up your phone number, okay? Then what happens is you forget to go back to Secretary of State and change your address. Then I apply for a credit card or loan. The lender or credit issuer immediately checks Secretary of State to make sure that the business applying is real and it really exists. It's not a fraudulent application, but they can't match it because the business and Secretary of State has different information than the application, such as your address. This happens all the time. It's why when I set up a business, and I'm setting up one right now, I'm launching a massive fundraiser in January here in Tampa Bay, setting up a nonprofit to do so. Here's my order of what I do. Make sure the name I want's available. It is in my state. I lock down the URL with GoDaddy. I now own that URL. Now I come back in. Now I get a phone number. Now I get an address. Now I go set up my entity. Now, when I set up the entity, I have the right business address, the right business phone number, the website, and the right email address before I set up the entity. That's how I do it, but most people don't do it that way. They set up the entity, then the other stuff, then they forget to go update the entity. So you got to make sure you do that. That's what gets you denied for these kind of credit. You got to get a DUNS number. You can go to creditsuite.com/DUNS, D-U-N-S, or you can go right to go Google and just type in free DUNS number. It's a 10 to 15 minute process. Again, your business address, your phone number, all that stuff should be done the right way before you get the DUNS number. Dun & Bradstreet's going to try to call and sell you their credit builder. You don't need to buy their credit builder. It's $1,500. You don't need to buy it. Don't listen to them. If you don't want to be sold by them, don't pick up their call. D&B will only ever call you to sell you crap you don't need. I promise you. They're never just going to call you and be like, hey man, what's up? Just want to go over your credit profile. Like, it doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. They're just calling you to sell you stuff. Business license. You don't need one. A lot of counties, states, industries, you don't need a license. But we found as a company helping 42,000 plus people through this process, if you have a license, it does help you a lot. Credit issuers look at you more legitimately if you have one. So if you can get one, like go to Google right now and type in your county, Pasco County, or I'm in Hillsborough County business license, and just see if there's a license you can get. If you can get one, it helps you here. Business bank account. They're not going to ask for bank statements. They're going to ask for a bank reference. Okay, so I can give them Robin's name. Robin's my personal banker, bid my business banker. When I need something, I go to Robin, and I can put her name on an application. They can contact her, and she knows who I am. She knows who our company is. That's why you need a bank account. Your business phone number's got to be listed with 411. One of the basic checks that credit issuers do that most of us don't know about, you can go to a company called listyourself.net. Listyourself.net is how you can actually get that phone number listed on. You can actually get that phone number listed through listyourself.net. It's the only way that I've actually found to be able to do that. Sean, thanks for coming in from Fort Lauderdale. Hello from Orlando. I'm glad you love our content. Thanks for saying hello. Ed, what's up? Had a bad experience with Marathon Wex. Closed my account after 2 months. So the question here, Ed, is did you apply for another account? So, for example, you said, I had a bad experience with Marathon/Wex. Close my account. I'm interested to know, Ed, how many of these fleet credit cards did you have or apply for? Tell me that if you don't mind. Let's unpack this. because what you're describing is very common when people have multiple fleet credit cards or apply for too many in a short period of time. I'm interested in learning a little bit more about yours. So with the community here, our tribe, we can all learn from what you're going through. It helps us all. So I appreciate you sharing. Again, may ask for a personal guarantee, may ask for deposit if you don't have fundability in line. Okay, so fleet credit. What are these credit cards for? They're to buy fuel, they're to repair vehicles, they're to maintain vehicles. They're like gas cards. That's what fleet credit is. So when we talk about fleet credit, it's Pilot Flying J, it's BP, Chevron, Sunoco. It's like every major fuel station we can think about, right? So again, a lot of them will have a minimum time in business or minimum revenue requirement. But if you built fundability the right way, and as you get more accounts on your business credit reports, that's not required. I always say you really should have 6 or 8 fleet account or accounts on your business credit reports, payment experiences before you get fleet credit. So a payment experience is the reporting of an account to a business credit reporting agency. So I just showed you Marathon, and I said Marathon reports to Experian and D&B. That's 2 payment experiences. So I always recommend before you even try to get fleet credit without a guarantee and credit check, you really want to get 6 or 8 payment experiences on your business credit reports first. Then they're not going to ask for the guarantee. They're not going to ask for the deposit, even if you're a brand new startup business. If you don't have that and your fundability is not online, they might. But if you've kind of got your fundability in check as you establish business credit, it's easier to get this stuff without the guarantee and without the deposit. Now let's talk about auto financing. Look, there's a lot of places that offer auto financing. I could go to Bank of America. I could go to Chrysler. I can go to wherever and get auto financing for a vehicle. I can also get auto financing without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. Now, this is in the final tier of building business credit. You really should have at least 14 accounts on your business credit reports before you get to this tier. I'm going to show you here exactly what I mean by this. So if I come here and I'm in our business finance suite, and I come here to the final tier of tier 4, what we call tier 4 business credit building, and I have 14 accounts on my business credit reports, I can start to get credit with these sources. So I start to seek auto financing without guarantees and credit checks starts to become available at most sources when I have 14 accounts and I move here into this 14 or into this tier 4 level of business credit building. Okay. Now, Ally Financial, they report to D&B Equifax Experian. They will do this without a personal guarantee and credit check, and they do all different kind of brands of cars. And again, their requirements are entity in good standing, EIN number, business address matching everywhere, DUNS number, business license, if applicable, business bank reference, fleet financing references. So they want to see you have fleet cards at this point. If you have fleet cards at this point, then there's a very good chance you can get approved. You can get approved without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. Plus, you can get a lease or a loan with them, and you can finance multiple different kinds of vehicles. Now, Ford also has a commercial loan or lease that you're able to get as well. Okay, with them, they may ask for the guarantee if you don't have fleet references or the 14 accounts, but if you do, then you're able to get financing without a personal guarantee or credit check. Our client, Christine, got $185,000 in Ford financing without a guarantee or credit check, $185,000. So it goes to show how powerful this is. And they report to D&B, Equifax, and Experian. Very similar requirements here. Entity in good standing, EIN number with the IRS, business address matching everywhere, DUNS number, business license, business bank account. They're going to look at your Experian commercial credit. So it needs to be established. You need to have 14 accounts across all 3 of your reporting agencies. Okay. And again, they're really going to want to see that you've got some established fleet credit here as well. Okay. What about Sprinter vans working together? How does this work? Well, in general terms, Sprinter van is more used with the term cargo vans. It's actually a name of vans that's actually through Mercedes-Benz. So Sprinter vans tend to be a bit taller than SUVs, and per ZipRecruiter, you generally don't need a special commercial license to operate them. Some states do require a chauffeur's license, and according to Car and Driver, quote, over 50% of Sprinter vans that are sold in the U.S. are used for commercial purposes. The other half of these vans are sold as passenger shuttles, recreation vehicles, limousines, office vans, etc. So these vans can currently cost between $35,000, $45,000 or more if you get actual options on them as well. Okay, so when we do this, now you can use this kind of financing I've given you to get approved without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check for these kind of vans, okay? Now, you can provide a personal guarantee credit check if you want to, but remember, now personal guarantees we've already talked about, that's like when you're guaranteeing personally the debt where they can come after your personal assets if you default. But you can get around the guarantee if you have 14 accounts in your business credit reports. And if you're using a source like GM, Ford, Toyota, even Ally Financial to get around that. Again, not going to spend a lot more time drilling down personal guarantees because we've already really talked about that. But that's how you go through the process of getting trade lines, getting a credit profile, getting a credit score, getting starter vendors, using fleet credit to build initial business credit or get it without the personal guarantee and credit check, building your business credit through tiers to get to 14 accounts, which gets us auto financing, Visa card, MasterCard, bank credit, as well as getting to a point where we can get financing with Ally, Ford, Toyota, GM to be able to buy vehicles, again, all without a personal guarantee, all without a personal credit check. So some things to think about there. Okay. Well, the best decisions I made was to join Credit Suite. Ed, I love that. Like, you're a walking testimonial. Thank you for that. And Ed says, just one and got approved. Did you apply for another one? So when you had the one for 2 months, in that 2 months, did you apply for another one? I'm interested to know. And Tommy says, I've applied for another WEX fuel card product. The company wanted me to PG and is willing to take some of my credit limit off WEX Fuel to move forward with PG. I just found that strange. Okay, I have applied for another WEX fleet card. The company wanted me to PG. Very possible. If your fundability wasn't in line, as we talked about today, or you don't have enough accounts in your business credit reports, that part is possible. And is willing to take some of my credit limit off of my WEX Fuel card to move forward without a personal guarantee. That makes sense. They're underwritten by the same source. So what they're saying is there's too much exposure by giving you 2 cards, but if you're willing to cut the limit on one card, we're willing to give you another card. That does make sense. And what's happening here is you're not using your credit enough. If you get credit, and Tommy, you're using the credit you're given, the more you use, the higher they're going to want to give you limit-wise. But what's happening here is they just have too much exposure, which is why they're saying, in general, we've got too much exposure with these cards. If you lower the limit on one, we'll give you more on the other. And that's why that's happening. Manuel, hello. Thanks for tuning in from LinkedIn. Tanya from Facebook. So basically, we need to build credit through small business fuel, et cetera, credit cards like Speedway. Pay on them in time so that we have built credit up before applying for fleet credit for business. So there's 2 ways you can do this. First of all, we could build our fundability. That's always the first step. Then we can start with starter vendors like Uline and Granger, and we can not even get to fleet credit till we have 6 payment experiences. Then this guarantees, these deposits, that stuff just goes away. It's not even a factor. Or we can start building business credit with, instead of using starter vendors, we can start with some fleet credit initially too. But if you do that, you're more inclined to give guarantees and actually have deposits required. So if you need a gas card, the smart thing to do is to be able to come in and maybe get a Granger, get a Uline, get a Supply Works, dabble with these starter vendors. Okay, then get a gas card, get a WEX fleet card, add that to initial starter. They might ask for a guarantee, they might ask for a deposit, but use that to get what you need. Then build business credit. And when you get the 6 to 8 payment experiences, then go back and start getting the other fleet cards without the guarantee or credit checks. That's a pretty smart way to be able to navigate through that process, just so you know. Okay. What about churches, religious organizations? Stephen, everything I've shown you today works for nonprofits. Everything. That's what's nice about business credit. It doesn't discriminate because you're a nonprofit. So if you're a nonprofit, everything I've shown you here today is completely completely congruent, whether you're a for-profit or nonprofit. Today says, well, we need to show financial records. No, there's all of this that I've shown you today is no doc. You don't need it for the auto financing. You don't need it for fleet credit. You don't need it for starter vendors. It's all no doc. A CJW Gainesville in the house. Thanks for coming in. It says, no, I only applied for 1 through WEX. I'll explain what happened to my credit suite rep. Okay. And then we can help you get through that. And Tommy, and what was your experience? I'm not sure about that. Nakaruma, hello from Panhandle. Thanks for coming in. Tanya says, I got it. And Tommy says, I have the top WEX. You can book hotels and have flexible spending. Very good. I love that card if you travel. So to recap, you can use business credit to buy everything you need for a fleet. You can use it to fuel the vehicles, repair the vehicles, maintain the vehicles, buy vehicles, even including Sprinter vans, all without a personal guarantee and credit check. Now, Next time, we're going to cover how to get retail credit with all major retailers without personal guarantees and credit check. And we're going to continue about how to navigate through the tiers and continue to build business credit. If we can help you along the way, give us a call. With us, you get a free consultation that 3 things happen. First of all, if you got value, hit the like button here. Please, that's all I ask. Like, I don't have a lot of likes here, so it makes me think that I'm not delivering valuable info. If you got value here, hit that like button, hit the love button. Now, if you give us a call, there's 3 things we'll do for you at no cost. First, we'll do a fundability assessment. We'll look at Secretary of State. We'll look at other places fundability is wrong. And we're going to go ahead and get that addressed so that way we can tell you what needs to be fixed so you can improve your fundability. We're going to get your business credit reports for you for free. They're $250 if you go to the bureaus. We get them for you for free. We review them with you. We give you tips and tactics to improve your business credit. Then we do a funding qualification. We'll tell you all the loans and credit lines you can qualify for right now. If there's a good chance you can get money and don't even know you can. But on that consult, we'll tell you all the funding you can qualify for. Consult's 100% free. There's 3 ways to get it. creditsuite.com/consult if you want to schedule. info@creditsuite.com, or give us a call at 877-600-2487. That's 877-600-2487. Now, you can also go to creditsuite.com/live. And if you go to creditsuite.com/live, you can get our free step-by-step guide on building business credit. It's been downloaded over 1 million times, so it's a very popular guide that will help you through the process. So go to creditsuite.com/live to grab that. Also, you can go to creditsuite.com, the top right of our page, and just like and subscribe on our social channels. It's all a different experience on every channel. YouTube, we have thousands of videos that will help you. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we have daily tips that will help you. TikTok, Instagram stories, we've got 1-minute tips that will help you with everything to do with credit and financing, getting private investment money, putting together a pitch deck, getting grants, all of that. And then we have a special podcast called the Business Credit Financing Show that has 500,000 downloads, very popular, 600 episodes. We've had it for years. You can not only listen to this on the go, but it's the only place that we bring in outside people to talk about how to grow and scale a business, how to start a business, how to get the branding right, how to market the business, how to do Facebook ads, how to maximize your revenue, how to maximize your profits. All of that's on our podcast, the Business Credit Finance Show. All those links you can get to at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com. So make sure that you like and subscribe there as well. Brilliant Davis, always love you coming in, says always valuable information. Thank you very much. And Tommy says always value by Ty Crandall. I appreciate that as well. On P is I'm working on BP as we speak. That's awesome. And again, don't forget to give us a call for the free consultation. When you give us a call for the free consultation, you get the free business credit reports, you get the fundability assessment and the funding qualification. So look forward to helping you there. So look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's training. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to be going over retail credit. We're going to talk about how to get credit with retailers. Every retailer you can think about: Nordstrom and Macy's, Amazon and Walmart, Sam's Club, BP or Sam's Club, Costco. Just think of Apple, Dell, HP. We'll talk about how to get retail credit. We're going to dive into our tiers and our finance suite, look at a lot of the retailers, look at the underwriting requirements of a lot of these sources, and talk about how to start opening up doors for retail credit and walk you all the way to the point here where you're able to get all kinds of business credit. Yesterday, we talked about 7 vendors you could get. Today, we talk about fleet credit, auto financing. Tomorrow, we talk about retail credit. All of this without a personal guarantee and credit check. All of this regardless of revenue, regardless of your cash flow, regardless of collateral, regardless of credit quality. I'm teaching you all of this. You can get no matter how bad your credit may be, with no consumer credit inquiries, with no doc, no bank statements, tax returns, income needed. Okay. And I'm showing you how to get it without collateral. All the credit from yesterday, today, and tomorrow is all available. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for retail credit. We'll talk more about that. And don't get us a call for your free consultation as well. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you on our next training where we talk about more cool ways to get money to start and grow your business.